Sometime in early 2012, Jerry was brought down from an unknown stud in Queensland to South Australia by a lady in her mid-20s. Jerry was young, about 4 or 5, and was probably gelded at this time. He was taken to a breaker where, due to a misfitting saddle or a back abscess, or a mix of the two, he bucked everyone off. He spent 13 weeks at his breaker, and his owner became more and more terrified of him. Moving to a new breaker, the bucking was still an issue, and his owner considered sending him to the doggers or meat truck. A young student from Germany called Jenny was working at the breakers, and though it was a tough decision and there was a big possibility that he may amount to nothing or have health problems, and she was only in Australia for a certain period, she decided to buy Jerry for a small price. He was given around 3 months to reset and had the chiropractor visit him twice. He was scared and he was sore. After these 3 months, he was rebroken, correctly this time. Jenny had Jer for the next 3 months, educating him the best she could while still working and breaking all the other horses. As the couple's stay in South Australia came to a close, Jenny listed Jerico for sale on Miles' horse on the 7th of November 2012. I found Jer and was interested. He was in my price range, and I loved how he was not a pure thoroughbred, but had Friesian breeding too. I headed out to have a look at him on the 15th of November after school. I loved how big his neck was, and his curious, cautious but sweet nature. I loved Jenny and her boyfriend because they were so nice and honest, and I knew they wouldn't lie about him. Jenny rode him first, and then I rode him. He was a bit awkward to ride. He was green and needed a lot of educating, but he was so innocent and honest. Our first canter transition had him freaking out a bit, but he relaxed so fast. Riding him out in the big paddock, I figured the biggest problem we would have would be controlling his shoulders and stopping him running through them. Driving home, I was still torn. He reminded me a lot of a horse that I'd tried that hadn't worked out. But what I loved was that I felt so confident riding him, and he had such a great canter. On the 1st of December, Jerry was taken up to my trainer's place, which was 2 hours away in the float. My trainer rode him, and I rode him, and we pushed him and rode him indoors and outdoors and in the paddock, and made sure he was relaxed everywhere, even after the long journey. I bought Jerry on the 4th of December 2012, and never once did I look back. The next 2 months turned out very awkward, as we found out just how green he was. Without a fence around the arena, he would trot on top of the beams around the outdoor arena. He would resist all contact with the bit and throw his head around every few strides. I went to another trainer for one lesson at our local riding club. She taught me a way to stop his resisting, and though the lesson was horrible to ride, I continued using what she taught me, and over the next few weeks he was going so much better. I took him to hack and dressage shows over the next couple of months. His first ever ribbon from a show was first, although the rest of the summer I started doing some jumping rounds, which he all took in his stride. Through the winter we continued with the jumping, and he was pretty terrible, to be honest. We had no clear round until August. Our first ever cross-country training was on the 21st of July 2013. On October 15th, we found Jerry's attitude problem, which was ditches. He was an absolute pig and refused to do them completely when they appeared a little bit big or a little bit deep. Our first eventing competition after that was newcomers, which was 65 centimetres at Ranella in October, and then we were second after dressage, staying in that place after cross country, but his uncoordination and complete lack of care for small jumps showed, and he trashed the show jumping course and had 4 down, leaving us in 6th. 2014 meant the year that we began eventing. At Lockington we ended up 5th in the introductory EVA 80 centimetres. I pushed him a bit too hard one night while we were having fun in the hills, and his pastern was sprained, unfortunately, and we missed Ranella that next March. In April we won Kirkcaldy Park Introductory, which was absolutely incredible and amazing, and then in May we placed 4th in the introductory at Grand Cru. At the Interschool State Champs we had 3 clear rounds, which meant a champion in the 90 centimetres show jumping, and then a reserve champion in the novice dressage, so we were qualified for nationals in both disciplines. And then at Naracoorte Horse Trials, we won the introductory eventing and qualified us for the nationals in intro eventing, which was absolutely incredible again. After going away for 2 weeks, I came back and Jerry was straight back into work. We moved up a grade into prelim at Mildura Horse Trials and we placed 4th in the 95 centimetres. And then of course there was going to be a weak patch there, which was pretty horrible for both of us. So we had to kind of come to terms with our weaknesses here. At Mount Gambier, after placing well after the dressage, we set out on cross country and we were well ahead of time, but we came up to jump 7, which was a Weldon's wall, which is an upright with a ditch in front, and Jerry said no. And this was our first elimination. The previous week we had been training ditches at Minato and Jerry was still very turned off by them, especially the one that we'd been training at Minato was absolutely massive and so wide and so deep, and he just said no, and his mindset for Mount Gambier was basically to say no to ditches. Even though we got him over them at Minato, it did take a long time and he was absolutely ridiculously hard to get over. The next few months was hard, not really physically, but so hard emotionally. We had to focus on putting everything behind us and work on the ditch issue after an incredibly spooky ditch built at home helped. However, while training at Ranella, we were doing the pre-novice ditch, which Jerry was a bit spooked by and had a large log with a ditch astride in front of it. And after doing it hesitantly but okay from one way, we went the other way and he scrambled on it, spooking himself and realising it was possible for him to get hurt. Leading up to Minato, we'd been doing a lot of dressage and ditch training, and I think that I'd just forgotten what forward really felt like. At Ranella we had a lot of refusals, just over tiny jumps here and there, because I was just holding the handbrake too much and just not letting him just travel on, and he was spooky too, which didn't help. Anyway, so after placing first after dressage at Minato, we set out on cross country, having 2 absolutely horrible distances on the first 2, and then a refusal on the 3rd, and then we were eliminated on the 4th, which was quite a tight and ridiculously hard line with a jump which had like these weird kind of desert plants on them, and they were spiky, and he touched the plant when he first stopped and he just kind of went, oh god, what is that, and just spooked himself even more. And so he was just so turned off of that line that yeah, we had that refusal. It was really bad for both of us, and it just showed how much of a problem that this had become. Then it was only a week until nationals, and we did so much training and jumps and just trying to make sure we were ready. And though we were going down a grade, I was still worried we were going to struggle again on cross country. At nationals, he refused the first jump. It was a bit spooky, sure, but the way he did it was absolutely horrifically dirty and with so much attitude, and I was so incredibly angry. We got to go around the course from there just from me being incredibly angry. However, this anger proved to be a mask of some other things and meant I missed a jump and almost went past the water. In other words, I was so angry that I just didn't even think about what we were doing. I just wanted him to like gallop forward. The next few months meant no events, but we worked hard on getting the forwardness back that we'd both seemed to have forgotten. I worked on jumping him over spooky things and jumping bareback and anything to get confidence again. We entered into Lakes and Craters, which was one of the most demanding prelim courses in Victoria. My trainer Megan Jones took us over and I was scared, no doubt about it. Going into dressage, he felt awesome. Placing first after dressage, I went on to cross country, absolutely flaming. I was so angry after the 3 months of eliminations and refusals. Clears cross country and fast enough that we had to slow down at the end. Clear show jumping that meant we won our last event of his first eventing season. Jerry has now been out in the paddock for a well-deserved break. I cannot wait to see what we will accomplish in another year with this amazing horse. I could never imagine my life without Jerry. Really, if you guys are looking for a horse, I just honestly think, sure, go for something that has a good canter or nice paces or good conformation or whatever you think. Don't go on colour or anything stupid like that. But most of all, just go for what you're confident on. It is so incredibly important to feel confident on a horse, and I have never ever had a ride where I've been scared of Jerry. There is never, sure, like when a trainer will be like, oh, jump this massive jump, I'll have that twinge of like, oh, in my chest, but I have never ever felt nervous about jumping on Jerry. He's not an easy horse to ride, but he gave me so much confidence, and he just brings out confidence in me. And I can't stress enough that you should get a horse that you are best confident on. For my first horse, I ended up getting a 20-year-old, and he's still going strong, and he was absolutely incredible for getting my confidence, because I was an incredibly nervous young rider when I first started. And Jerry only improved on that confidence, and now I'm just jumping on him in the paddock with no tack on. So I wish you all the best in your future horses, if you're planning on getting any horses in the future. I wish you the best with your riding, and I hope that you can have a story as successful or more so than Jericho and I.